I really want to talk a little bit more about my share from yesterday and like women's anger and what I'm really feeling into as far as this whole global shift goes and this whole awakening process goes. And once again, it's the sense of sort of separation when it comes to painful stuff. You know, it's like deciding to go into unconsciousness or into separation when it's not easy or comfortable, or when there's emotional stuff that comes up that we don't want to look at, right? And a really big logical piece for me that always comes in whenever I'm faced with emotions and I'm holding space and observing my emotions and I'm being guided intuitively and I express. Sometimes I have to communicate and express feelings that are there, and they're there because there's an outworking and there's a wound. That's like all I can really say at this point is like if there's anger and if there's confusion and if we're not sure and if we're stressed, there is a wound inside, multi layered and veiled and hidden, and because I continue to peel back various wounds and I can recognize that they're getting more and more like deep, more and more collective and less personal. And so I'm looking at energetic threads coming through that are relevant to humanity's empowerment ultimately, right? Like humanity rising up. And I'm just acutely aware of our kind of default patterning of thinking that other people's feelings have nothing to do with us. And here again, I'm going to go back to this idea of like where in my logic, part of my own logic has helped me express from my heart, because the disparity to me is, yes, talking about love and light and talking about spiritual healing and blah 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 blah, but the true call for me has come to from this place of a very earnest and burning desire to bring end to suffering on the planet. And it's one thing, pain is one thing. Suffering is like connected to our root core wounds of separation, all of our unworthiness patterns, and our suffering is connected to the like the system that we've created, because we've created a system based on our own disempowered state, based on a perception of separation and power over, dominion over. So it's that energy self, or that's energy stream within self, that we're ultimately having to dissolve to rise our divine aspects and come into divine union with self. So I can feel and see patterns and how I've come to this place of greater unification and am recognizing a very powerful surge coming through a lot of women, but more just people doing the work, intuitive, connected, and sensitive, that there is this rising. And again, the logic is like we live in a world that drops bombs on innocent people. So the fact that in our personal relationships that we can't communicate, or I'll speak from my perspective where I'm so acutely aware of like my anger or my assertiveness, people are just like or, you know, there's reactions, and then I'm like, wait, and then people are like, anger's unjustified, like you need to calm down, you need to, I'm like, no, I am calm, but I'm present with an anger energy moving through me, and I'm going to sit with the anger. And if you can't deal with it, leave, right? If you can't deal with this emotion that's running through me right now as like a vessel that's clearing, that's consciously clearing dense energy and distorted energy from the collective, if you can't deal with this, then walk away. Because part of the higher call of this level of energy work and this ability to sit with our emotions is that it is inevitably our repressed and denied emotions that are creating the world that we see. So if we cannot sit and be present with one another when we're in pain and when we're angry and we want to fight and we want to run away and we want to just break down, if we can't be with one another in those emotional states, then how on earth can we expect to hold space for the world's healing, right? One and the same thing. And it was in addressing a pattern in my own life and then having to do a flip and suddenly say, this I cannot own. And so reflecting it back, a pattern to somebody, recognizing that they're in the pattern and that we have to together own the pattern because it's a co-creative pattern, right? And there's just such monumental depth of learning with all of this energy as it rises, this divine energy as it rises. There really is no divide when it comes to our gender. Men and women alike are sensitive and emotional creatures. It's only our programming that would tell us otherwise. And our programming, again, is only really trying to get us to fit in. The programming is to only ever give your power away and do the things that help you to fit in, because belonging feels good. But when we start to have awakenings, we are revealed to ourselves there's more than meets the eye. And it's when those unveilings occur that the triggers and the charges start to come, because there's insidiousness and there's veils and there's darkness and there's density and there's corruption and there's things that we need to shine light on in order for us to grow. We can't be naive. We can't be unaware about this state of suffering in the human collective energy field. That's part of the disparity in a lot of this high vibing consciousness movement, is that people, when they're in this shit, are looking at the consciousness stuff being like, well, great. That's great for you guys, right? And it's wonderful when there's privilege, or it's wonderful when we have access, or it's wonderful, blah, 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 blah. And often I still feel that because there's this disparity and because there's this economy, people can pull the wool over and people can hide behind pretty things and hide behind glossy vocabulary and hide behind various things, actually, and bypass doing what I feel anyway is like really the work of sitting with your energy and looking at it, all of it, not denying one aspect, not trying to polarize yourself, not trying to divide yourself, not trying to manipulate yourself or sell yourself short, you know? Like, that's the point of all this weird fucked up reality, is like we are the ones creating it. So any of this stuff that I talk about is me navigating my own shadows, me navigating my own lightness. And yes, we deserve joy and we deserve pleasure and we deserve abundance, but we do have to really truly feel it from within ourselves, right? And again, I think we want to, let's do lots of yoga, or let's do certain practices that make us feel a certain way, but then let's not really have to talk about the work it requires to get there. You know, often, not for everybody, but the work for some of us is deep down required to get to a place of groundedness. For some of us, it's emotional work. And I am not at a point, and I don't know if I'm ever going to reach a point in my life where I can say to you guys, and then one day, you're never ever going to feel sadness again. You're only going to live in bliss and love. I'm still in a place on my journey after 15 years where I'm still feeling into really deep and rather painful emotions. Part of my contract is that I am doing this work for a collective. I'm doing this work for a body, a piece, you know? And so I can remain detached and allow the emotional field to clear and uprise, right? So some of us are doing this work, and when we're not, it's really hard to resonate with it, because a lot of people are so frightened of the emotional body that they just think it's like, oh, I don't want to deal with that. Oh, I don't want that to, that's just painful and let's just have lots of fun. Let's just keep it really fun and light all the time, which is great. I love the fun and I love the light. And however, I'm somebody with this diehard mission who I've actually only been able to start having more fun, and I'm actually coming into this space. I can feel it. It's fucking awesome, where I'm like, oh my God, yeah, Yeah, I get to have fun because I know myself and I have the courage and fearlessness inside me to go into any environment now and just fucking be myself. And I have a message to share, so it's even more awesome. And I understand conscious awareness, so I'm like, yeah, just keep shining that message. And all the people who are wanting to hear the message, they'll show up. They'll come along for the fun ride, right? Because I want to have fun now. Because my 35 years on this planet has been pretty intense, and there's been a lot of deep, deep, deep pain and deep, deep, deep suffering. No matter how glossy and no matter how people judge me for who I am or who they think I am, the shift has happened. That's all I can say. There are clear channels around the world living and breathing a higher vibrational reality. People say the 5D reality or the fifth dimension. Um, I don't know. I don't really look at it like that. Like I just see it as a pocket of human collective are vibrating a certain frequential like wavelength that now as a even a relatively small one, as a smaller collective, we're now visioning a new field, right? We're now visioning a new earth because we see it. We see the high vibrational eco self-sustainable communities. We can see the tribes lining up. We can actually feel and even manifest the tribal leaders, the new paradigm leaders in the world of the internet, right? Our globalized village. We can know and recognize the light grids that are popping up to anchor in the new light. So the messaging at this point is like shining light for people who are in the shit at this point for me and All to Love. Shining light for the people who are still having their backs broken by a system that doesn't really care about them because they forgot how to care for themselves. So those of us with any sense of awareness and compassion really need to keep growing and keep shining and keep making more money so that we can reach back and assist people and teach them and remind them that they're loved, you know, remind them that people care about them. And focus not on fighting the system and focus not on revolting in any kind of violent way, but be peaceful and be nonviolent and be extraordinarily loving and compassionate as we anchor in new energy codes for this planet. However, what I'm realizing is the disparity along the way. And there is a disparity. We're traversing it and we're coming into a unified state, but there's still a disparity in our beingness and our ability as whole creators. And I'm in these last little, even few days, I'm seeing threads of like, another program, another program acting out, but it's happening kind of quicker. And I've lined up a situation where I'm very much able to be clear, say my truth, because I'm not afraid of any kind of outcome, because the truth and integrity in the present moment is all there is, right? And that continuing process is all there is. So if you guys are interested in the work that I do, feel free to buy the book. I can see some there. So thank you so much for watching, and a thumbs up. I hope that you're having an amazing day. I hope that was useful to you in some way. Yeah, have a beautiful day, and don't forget to subscribe and like and all of that juicy good stuff. Love you, bye.